This episode of the Moms Network is brought to you in part by KLA Schools for early childhood education inspired by the Reggio Emilia approach.
Welcome to the Moms Network, a mom-focused talk show discussing important topics that affect you and your family. Today we are joined by two new guest co-hosts, Lindsay Chan and Grace Boland. Both Lindsay and Grace have two young children and add a new perspective to our conversation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This episode we are discussing childcare and all of the options and potential stresses it brings. What are your options to use for your family?
One of the main reasons that I decided to stay at home was simply the cost of childcare.
Yeah.
So we lived in the city in Chicago, and I was a teacher in a low-paying school district. And the cost of childcare in the city at that time compared to my salary, it was a conversation. Yep. And just like it always is, there's so many different reasons for staying at home. So our childcare is when we have events to go to, that sort of thing. My parents are newly retired, so up until a little less than a year ago, it was, a neighbor, a babysitter, or saying no a lot.
Yeah.
We just said no a lot or did a lot of things separately. And now that they're retired, it helps a little bit. They're there right now with my kiddos, which I so appreciate because they're close by. They're less than a half an hour away. So I don't take that for granted. And, we try to show them how much we appreciate them and their help. But otherwise, looking for that teenager in the neighborhood to try to help out. But I am primarily the full-time caregiver, obviously, of the two, so we don't need something during the day full-time.
In opposition, I didn't have any family, and we had just moved here, and we had our kids shortly after we moved to the Naperville area, and we ended up having a wonderful nanny, Mariola, and we did a nanny share with another family. So we had her Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and those were the days that my husband and I both worked. And then I stayed home Tuesday and Thursday, and we would switch off at the practice on Saturdays. So it was kind of nice for me because I could work 3.5 days and then be home 3.5 days. And then we had this sitter, and every Wednesday she would stay later so Chris and I could go out to dinner. So that was like our one day that we knew we could go out without the kids. But it was hard because if you wanted to go downtown Chicago for one night, we had to pay someone to do that. We didn't have any family help or even really a ton of community of moms with kids the same age. Kind of just felt like we were a little bit on our own island and taking care of our kids.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that community is so important. My husband and I have a lot of good friends, and we just trade with each other sometimes for date nights. It's a win-win. We'll take their kids. We don't keep track. It's just friends that
you have a little tally board.
No, we don't. We just, I have two friends helping me today, and we just help each other out when we need it, and kind of it's just a part of that mom community that I'm very, very thankful.
And how'd you find it? How'd you find them?
Actually, some of them through the Naperville Moms Network Facebook page, but former coworkers that became close friends, just getting out there. I don't hesitate to go up to a mom at a park and see kids the same age and introduce myself and put myself out there. I meet a lot of moms at Chick-fil-A, the play place. So
it's so like dating.
It is. It is.
Where do you hang out? Chick-fil-A. And Centennial Park. Where do you hang out?
It's so true.
It's so funny. With my first, he's 6 now, but when he was first born, I was so terrified of having anyone let me watch him. And even my husband. And he's amazing. But it was just part of that new mom fear of this is my baby. I don't know who you are. I don't have cameras in my house. I mean, what's going to happen? And really letting that go and trying to dropping the fear and really just opening yourself up to meeting new people and giving someone an opportunity to prove that they are actually really responsible and they can make your life so much easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now with my second, I learned. My husband and I have a date night every week.
Do you really?
Every single week.
That's impressive.
And it is gold. And it's so interesting because with my oldest, he's getting used to it now. Whereas with my youngest, that's normal for him.
Right.
We go out once a week, he's like, bye, Mom. And my oldest is still like, bye, Mom. What time you coming home? Because it's just, he's so used to me always being 100%, there. And I'm so glad I let go of the fear because now, I mean, we have a whole, Rolodex of babysitters that help us out in a pinch. And it's a really great thing for our marriage, for our family, for my kids' independence.
It's good for the kids to get used to trusting someone else.
I think so
thinks
too.
It's fun too. She gets excited when there's someone new that's coming to play with her that's a high schooler. That's way more fun than I am. So she loves it.
Mine do, but my daughter's fine. She's 7, but my son will not let anyone put him to bed. So I usually need to be home by 8 or 8:30, which I mean things don't start until 7:30. So it's very tough. And then people say, well, he's just going to need to get over it. Okay, that's fine until you're at a party and you're getting FaceTime at 10 o'clock by a crying 16-year-old, a crying exhausted 7-year-old sister, and a crying 4, and you're going,
was it worth it?
Was this worth it to be out? No. So I'll just wait until he's 16. I'll never go out now.
It is hard. I think everyone's situation is different. Like you, I didn't grow up with well, I should say I didn't have a lot of babysitters growing up because I have 3 older siblings. So someone was
They were
always
built in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always wanted a babysitter. I have 3 older brothers. I didn't want to play Superman or anymore Nintendo. I wanted a babysitter to play tea with me. So it is, every situation is different. Now we don't have family close by, so we depend on babysitters. And I will definitely just go through my whole checklist and interview and process, but at the end of the day, it's someone that wants to love your kids and play with your kids and be with your kids. That just makes a whole world of difference. And this season, if it's not going to happen until you're a little bit older and they're a little bit older, that's okay too. At least you get a little time out.
Right, and they all change, right? And their emotions change, and their abilities to put themselves to sleep with someone else there will change. I know when we were growing up, we had babysitters. I think I've talked about it before on the show, and it was Michelle and Sue. They were right across the street, and we just loved having them come over. They'd be like, "Oh, we're going out tomorrow night." We're like, "Is Michelle or Sue coming over?" And they'd go downstairs and like roller skate in the basement, and do dress up, and we do shows, and they just really were interactive and playing with you. And I think in any child care situation, there's home daycares that I see that are promoted on the Moms Network a lot, and there's lots of different options. There's child care centers, and then we roll into preschools, but I think just finding the right fit and what feels good in your gut too. Trusting that, like you said, getting over that fear, because that's hard to get over that fear.
There's so many pros and cons to all the different situations. My sister-in-law is going to have her first. She's due any day, and she's going through the process of, well, I think we're going to do a nanny share or have a nanny come in. I don't think, because here's why. I work from home this day. He works from home. That sometimes they need a body. But there's so many benefits I see to my friends who had children in childcare. I mean, they were a lot more independent earlier on. The sharing, the social aspect, you can see it, as opposed to sometimes me as a stay-at-home mom, mine kind of clinging to me a little bit more, and they only know mommy, and they don't want to, so it's interesting, and there's no wrong choice. There's no perfect choice. No. It's just simply a choice, and whatever situation it is, will be perfect, fine for your family.
And I think it is so personal, even the decision of, am I going to work after I have children, or am I going to stay home, right? For myself, it literally never crossed my mind that I was going to stay home full time, but I did get that nice balance of kind of working 3.5 days and then not being home. So it wasn't, I didn't have to travel downtown Chicago and be gone, 10 hours a day. So I had, a little bit of a blend, but for me, I love my work so much, and it's the career that I decided to go into. So the thought of not doing that never entered my mind. For you guys, what was your decision making when you had children? How did you decide to get to a place of, hey, I'm going to stay at home, even if you're working part-time or not?
So I work and I stay home. It works for our family. I love it. I love, like you said, that combination of some time with our kids. We do a combination of preschool, so our toddler goes to preschool, a little bit of grandma time, a lot of working at night and the evenings when the kids are sleeping, and it works for our family. For me, it was weighing childcare costs and my salary at the time. I worked at a special needs school. I worked in nonprofits and ministries before that, so my salaries were never through the roof. So kind of weighing those options of, okay, here's what childcare is going to cost full time, and then multiply that by, 2 possibly, as we grow our family. And now we have 2, a baby and a toddler, and our preschooler, and it just works for our family to have a little bit of home time, a little bit of work time, supplementing that income, but then still having a lot of family time on the weekends.
Yep. How about you, Grace?
My decision was more based on the way I grew up. We lost my mom at 40 years old, and I was 9 at the time, almost 10. And for me, just having those memories with her at home with us is all I have. And so I really wanted to make sure that I had that for my kids too. It was really important for me to not only just be at home with them, but also to just experience all of their growth and all the stages. Some of them are uglier than others, but just being able to experience it and have that with me was really important to me.
Well, and I'm so sorry for your loss. I think when we joke about the mommy wars, right? And the stay-at-home mom versus the working mom. But a story like yours is the perfect example that there's a really personal decision. Sometimes those decisions are hard, and sometimes staying home isn't easy for someone, but you have that drive that, hey, I don't want to miss that, right? For me, I used to wake up and be like, do I stay at home today or do I work today? Oh, thank God I work today. And for me, that early, I hate to admit it, but that early phase of parenthood was really challenging for me. And I didn't want to play trains for 6 hours. And so there was a meme.
Nobody wants to play trains for 6 hours. Maybe they do. Maybe just not.
There was a meme on Facebook and it said, don't you hate when you've been playing with your kids for 6 hours and you look up and it's only been 20 minutes? And I died laughing with that because it was true for me. And some people, that's all they want to be doing is playing and
I think it's okay
things.
to love your kids and want to be there with them, and it's okay to love your work and love your job and love your time to yourself. It's a big transition when you have young kids, so it's okay to love them and love being away from them.
I also wonder, as we're having children later, if that plays a part, because if you're having a child at 22, well, you haven't had that much. You haven't had that work to love or your own life. If you're having a child at 32, like myself, 32, 35 and up. Well, now I've been independent and been doing my own thing for a very long time and making money for a very long time, and so now all of a sudden to switch, is tough.
Right. Not only are you now taking care of children, which is a radical change in your life, right, and the kind of 24/7 of it, but then you're shifting something in your work, so you're changing so many parts of your life, and it can be stressful and challenging at times. So
I think that's why it's great that we find that balance, whether it's through a babysitter, a friend, a mama's helper, even if you're home with a new infant, just to pick up a little bit of slack that you have energetically, so that they can swipe in and get in there with the trains with fresh new energy or a fresh pot of coffee while you get something done on the side, so that you have that balance to just feel human again.
Go take a shower.
Definitely.
That's a really good point.
Showers are underrated.
Yes, 1,000%.
Finding childcare that is a great fit for your family isn't always easy, but having time away to work or play helps to create a balanced life and a happy mom. We'll be right back with more of the Moms Network.
This episode of the Moms Network is brought to you in part by KLA Schools for early childhood education inspired by the Reggio Emilia approach.